Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning to our research class for this morning. So for today, I'd like to talk about the thesis format or the research format for your proposal and your final paper. So far, I'm trying to check the activities. I am already starting with STEM. Um, so far with STEM, konti lang naman yung mga dapat i-edit. You need to edit only a few things, particularly with the introduction. Um, Sige, let's start talking about it. No, I was hoping now to give me updates of what you have been doing in terms of your paper. You notice in the proposal, um, you'll be able to do later on yung mga maliliit na bagay. Let's say, for example, the title page, the table of contents. Don't worry about that. You'll be able to do that later on. In chapter 1, that's the problem. Always remember, class, that you have to write it in future tense. But in the checking of the grammar of your work, we'll do that later on. You'll do that later on. But my main concern is for you to be able to get really the substance and the content of your paper. In chapter 1, the following needs to be included. The introduction. I've been trying to check some of your introduction. What I've noticed is that some of you did not do your citations for the first 3 paragraphs. Remember, the context, the content, and the contrast. Those 3 paragraphs would have citations. In the first paragraph of your introduction, remember its context. Give the reader a preliminary background, okay? Or let's say you need to be able to focus on a certain definition of your research. Give us a background or give us really a very good head start information about your study. That's the context. Now, the content part, you really have to look for a literature that would really talk about your research. Hopefully, it would encompass or it would give us really a hinge or an insight of what really is your study all about. Okay, the content. And the third one is the contrast. Many authors, you'll be seeing many authors, but there would be most likely 1, 2, or 3 authors who would really have very unique inputs or data that would be significant in your study. And I'd like you to be able to extract that and put that in your introduction. Now, the contrast part normally starts with the word however. So I've also noticed that some of you did not put the word however. So please put the word however. However, according to Mangahas Kamakar 2022, the secrets of mind power is within an individual's capacity to really think deeply. Example lang yun don't forget the word however for the contrast. Now for the aim, I would like to see only tatlo. Okay, in the introduction, the aims of the study are, or the aim of the study is, tapos number 1, is it to understand, to identify, to create, to apply, to investigate, ganun lang yun. And then the approach will be, the study will make use of a qualitative case study, or the study will make use of a ethnographic qualitative research. Now, you might want to cite also according to let's say Creswell 29, a case study is ganun. Okay, so that's with the introduction, and then the background. You notice here the background of the study. Normally, you need to be able to put around 3 to 4 citations. It's an overview of issues, problems, new development that would eventually lead to the inception of the topic, and overall the purpose or rationale for the selection based on your relevant literature. Okay, so it's a clear delineation of the field of study that leads to a clear statement of the problem. Now, in your statement of the problem, again, this should be a statement. And that's why in the statement of the problem, I told you of the 4 sentences. The first sentence is you have to clearly articulate the problem. The problem of the study is, the problem of the study is a limited, the problem of the study is an increasing emergence of students who are academically stressed during the pandemic. According to Bautista, R, 2022, students in the Philippines, are prone to academic stress because of the so many requirements being asked by their professors. So that's the second sentence. The third sentence, the purpose of this qualitative case study, okay, is to, ganun ulit, tatlo. And then the fourth one, the problem of the study will be answered by the following research question. So you have research question number 1, number 2, and number 3. Normally, the research question number 1 is your the main research problem, or the main or the central question. Then you have the second and the third one. Hypothesis, you don't have a hypothesis for qualitative study. Okay, wala ka namang dapat patunayan doon sa, because you don't have a variable, no? You don't have a hypothesis. So remember that. But for quantitative, kailangan yan. Okay? Null hypothesis, hypothesis number 1, 2, and 3, that's connected to your research questions. Again, in a qualitative study, you don't have a hypothesis. And then the significance of the study, scope delimitation, definition of terms, tsaka nyo na gagawin yan. Okay? Lalaktawan natin yan. Madali na lang yan. So hopefully in your chapter 1, dapat ito, tapos na tong chapter 1 nito. And then we move to the review of related literature. I've asked you to be able to do the RRL in paragraph form. RRL answer grid. Okay, yung table. So the first 10 and later on the next 10, you have to be able to put it into the answer grid. Okay, by authors yun, the date, the research design, and so forth and so on. Okay? So ilalagay nyo doon yung mga nakuha yung RRL, so i-answer grid niyo yun. So when you're done with the answer grid, okay, you will now be ready to do your RRL in paragraph form. So in doing the paragraph form, you have to arrange it by themes. Okay? Pag sinabing themes, may parang tema yun. Na kunyari, ang sinabi ni author, let's say, the authors, si author na si Dakanay, si Bautista, let's say si Ang, talked about basic definitions of academic stress. Okay, so gugrupo niyo mo sila doon, and probably yung parang title niya will be about definitions of academic stress. So ganun rin yon in the other parts that you're going to be able to do in your RRL. So remember, you should be able to paraphrase your RRL in the paragraph form. So once you're done with your paragraph form, most likely siguro mga ano yan, that's double space. That could probably be 7 to 10 to 15 pages kasi marami yun. And the last page would be the synthesis. Now, the synthesis would be a summary of all. Ano-ano ba yung mga sinabi? Lahat ng authors na magkakapareho, authors na magkaibang sinasabi, unique information, data, and you should be able to indicate the research gap. Yung research gap, yun hopefully ang mga bagay na nakita ninyo na importante doon sa gagawin yung research. Okay? The gaps, yung mga nakikita nyo na mga gaps na to, related of course to the research that you're going to be able to do. And of course, you have to be able to put your own personal critique also of the literature that you have gathered. So that's with chapter 2. And then later on, pabalikan natin ito, the theoretical and the conceptual framework. The theoretical framework means that if you have a theory, most likely, kunyari, I think with Carl, academic stress, I think may mga theories doon. Okay? So you have to be able to look for theories. Most likely, kung marami yan, you can choose probably 3, okay, or isa or dalawa that is really relevant and connected to your study. So you, in the theoretical framework, you can put it in paragraph form, explaining it. Okay? So most likely, dapat may paragraph form yun. And you can even do a framework, meaning you can do an illustration of the framework itself. Kunyari, may 2 boxes ka, theories, okay? Tapos may isang box sa gitna, nakatutok na ganon, may arrow, the connection of those theories to your study. Okay? Tapos below doon, maglalagay kayo ng mark na let's say, figure 1, theoretical framework. Okay? And then your conceptual framework naman, this is like a process, no, of what you are going to be able to do in your research. So parang ipapakita nyo dyan yung proseso ng gagawin ninyo. Okay, you can illustrate it. That's why it's a conceptual framework. The main concepts of your study, you have to be able to put it in a framework. Pero later on natin yung gagawin, but you have to concentrate more of your RRL in paragraph form. And then the 3rd chapter, I think in the other activities, I've asked you all already to do the methodology. You have to include the description of the following parts. So you have to put the research design. I think ginawa niyo yung iba sa inyo dyan, no? Kung ano yung research design na gagamitin ninyo, the locale of the study, where you're going to do your study, which place in the Philippines, saang lugar yan, the participants, who are your participants? Are they students? Are they teachers? You have to describe them. And again, the sampling technique and design that you're going to use will be purposive. Para hindi na kayo mahirapan, purposive sampling technique. Okay, that is, yun yung gagawin nyo. You're going to be able to select a participant based on the purpose of your research design. So yun na, you have to be able to look for a citation of what a purposive sampling technique is all about and put it there in the participants. Paragraph form yan. And then instruments, wala naman kayong gagamitin na instruments because you will be author-based, or you will base it on a specific author. Kung case study kayo, kung ethnography or phenomenological, dun nyo kukunin later on yung instrument. But here, the next one is data collection method pala yun yung sa instrument niyo for qualitative. Data collection method. So in the data collection method, you will have a table. The first column would be your research questions. So kunin niyo yung sa problem statement niyo, yung research questions niyo 1, 2, and 3, lalagay niyo doon sa column 1, and the column 2, ilalagay niyo doon yung ano yung data collection methods na gagawin niyo. Ano ba, survey ba, interview, focus group discussion. So you're going to be able to indicate it there. Research question number 1, research question, tapos data collection method, ilalagay nyo doon. So put it in a table. Then below it, below your table, ilalagay nyo doon, table 1. Table 1, data collection method. Tapos i-describe nyo yun. And then the data gathering procedure, ito yung the steps that you're going to be able to do. Madali na lang yan. And even the data analysis, ang data analysis nyo, you'll be using the thematic analysis. Okay? Kasi nga, i-extract nyo yung mga themes. Thematic analysis. Or yung analysis nyo will be based also on the recommendation of the author ng research design ninyo. Kung case study yan, ano ba yung recommendation ni Robert Dean? Thematic yan or content analysis. Ano ba yung sinasabi ni Spradley, okay, for ethnography? Ano bang sinasabi ng mga ni Georgie para sa phenomenological? Doon yung ilalagay yung data analysis. And ethical consideration, madali na lang yan. And that would conclude your chapters 1, 2, and 3. So hopefully when you're done with that, you will now be ready to prepare your PowerPoint presentation. Later on na yan, by siguro makakapag-defend na kayo baka by ano na yan, by the second week of April, everything is already set, no, and ready. And then we will proceed, no. If I see that some of you can still continue on, we will finally do the final paper. Okay? Sandali. Which I think may mga ilan sa inyo can actually do the final paper. So ganun lang, sa final paper, pag tapos na yon, I will ask you to proceed now with the chapter 4. In the chapter 4, this is interesting. So once you have interviewed already, okay na yung, approve na yung mga questionnaires ninyo, nasagutan niya. So ang gagawin na natin, ipe-present na yung findings ninyo in chapter 4. So that's results, analysis, and discussion. So ang gagawin dito, ipe-present ninyo. How are you going to do that? Of course, you need to be able to present your research questions. Okay, ano yung research question number 1? Okay? Ano yung sinagot ng kunyari ng 6 na kunyari for research question number 1, you need to be able to analyze it. Ano yung mga sinabi or sinagot ng 6 na participants ninyo dun sa research question number 1. So sinagot nila sa research question number 1, ano-ano doon ang mga pare-parehong sinabi nila, okay? At mga kakaibang sinabi nila that could hopefully answer your research question number 1. So in analyzing your data, if the data, pag binabasa nyo yan, oo nga, no, bakit parang pare-pareho? The things that they say are starting to be the same. Kung nagiging ganun na, that means that you're in the right track already. So you need to be able to i-code nyo yun, that's coding. So kukunin ninyo, pagsasama-samahin ninyo, yung mga sinabi nila, i-code nyo yun. Kunyari, code 1, 2, 3, bahala kayo kung numerical or you're going to use a word. So isasama nyo yan. And then later on, yung mga codes na yan, you're going to be able to analyze it using themes. So nakita nyo dun sa coding ninyo na pare-pareho, isasama nyo yun. So magkakaroon kayo ng mga themes doon. That themes would hopefully be able to answer your research questions. Medyo matrabaho lang, but that's the way it is to do qualitative research. Unlike quantitative, you're just going to use the statistical tool. Okay? And you'll be able to get the answer. Pero pagka qualitative, you really need to extract data coming from your participants. Of course, in the literature itself. Then chapter 5, you have the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendations. Okay? So, yeah. But for purposes of formal presentations in conferences, I will ask you to, okay? Para madali later on, I will ask you to do the IMRAD format. Okay, sa IMRAD format, you have the introduction. Later on na to pag natapos na yung ipe-present nyo. The methods, the results, analysis, and discussion. Yeah. When you're going to present it in a conference, which some of you hopefully will be able to finish it, ganyan yung magiging format, the IMRAD format in the presentation. You'll give your introduction, yung methods, yung results, analysis, and the discussion. So yan lang yung ipipresenting nyo. Hopefully later on, pag okay na naayos na yung paper and you're ready for the presentation. Okay? Time check, no? It's 9:20. Sandali. I have to stop sharing.